We believe in the same thing. We believe in family. We believe in God. We believe in respect. And we believe in hard work. But today, Canada's changed so much, right? Conservative values that you have been brought up with in the Philippines and have brought here to this country, they're under attack. Churches are attacked, you know? Churches are burned and firebombed, and Christians can't go and do their prayers. Same thing for the Jewish folks. And this isn't about whether you're Jewish or Christian. It's not about if you're right or left. It's between right and wrong. It's wrong to attack people because they're Christian or because they're Hindu or because they're Muslim or Jewish. This is not the Canada that I grew up in, and this is not why you came to this country. You came for a better life. You came for a better life for your young people. And I can tell you right now, Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party share your values. Share your values of life and how you want to see your life. But we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. You know, you tell your children, okay, you made a mistake, don't redo the same mistake. But you know what the problem is? We're not changing as a society fast enough. Why can't you buy a home? Why do you have to spend money on rent? Do you want your children to rent for the rest of their lives? No, of course not. But, hello, how's it going, buddy? See, he already knows. He knows for him to stay there, he's going to need a new representative. And the message is very clear. You have power. You really do. You don't realize it. How come more Filipinos aren't running for government? We have Marjorie Rojas.
Yeah.
You know Marjorie? Have you heard of Marjorie?
Marjorie Ramos.
Yes, Ramos. And she is a strong Filipino lady, because in our party, we accept and want people from diverse communities. But here's what has to stop. You have to stop being led around by groups who have old concepts. Vote this way. You vote any way you want, because this is Canada. You don't have to be told what to think, who to vote for, what to eat, when to sleep. You are independent people, strong people, Christian people. And I also want to tell you something. Are you aware that the Canadian government gave $84 million to a government in Syria? Now you might say, Neil, why are you mentioning this? Because they gave $84 million to the Syrian government that is Al-Qaeda. You know what they did to Christians in Syria? Have you heard? They made them crawl on the ground to their deaths. Is this what we want with our hard-earned tax dollars, to give money to people who persecute Christians?
No.
Definitely not. But we have to make a big choice on April 28th. Oh, thank you. You can tell. April 28th is the day, it's Salvation Day. It's the day that you get to say what's on your mind in a private way. Nobody should ask you how you vote. Hey, this is very important. Don't let anybody lead you to the poll and say, vote this way. You vote your conscience. You vote what is good for you and your family. You vote what's good for their families. Because we're going to get stuck with a bill, because the way the government is spending our money, your children's children will have to pay for it. They won't have a better life, because this is the government that we have now. But I don't want to talk negativity. It's your Easter. We have to be very positive. Jesus teaches us to forgive, right? Amen. But here's the truth. We can forgive, but not forget. Simple concept. I want to forgive those who have done injustice to all of us, but I don't want to forget the injustice. So, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a husband, I'm a business owner, and you know what? I'm your friend. I understand that you have relations for a decade with somebody else. The other guy is a nice guy. He really is. He's a swell guy. But ask yourself this. Are you happy today? Is your life better today than it was? If the answer is no, we need change. It's your vote, it's your voice, it's your choice. It'll bring change. So on April 28th, come out and make the change. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. All questions are acceptable. No problem. I refuse to answer questions about my eating habits, though. That's not good.
Would you like to sit down, sir?
No, I love to. I got my Skechers on. My favorite shoe.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
as a parent, we go to the grocery stores, right?
Yep.
And we see that all the prices all over the things are so expensive right now. Where our $150 is just a little bit in the shopping cart.
True.
So what is the game plan of the Conservative Party to make it more affordable for all of us to afford our groceries and make our life a little bit easier?
Okay, so I'm going to repeat the question if anybody didn't hear it. How come we get ripped off at the grocery store when we work so hard and we have to choose between putting gas in the car and putting food in the basket? Is that your question? Yeah, because I've heard it before. It's a great question. So I want to explain to you. Inflation that's been going on, it's been the highest inflation ever in Canada. It's recently come down somewhat from 2.9 down to 2.4%. So there's a reason for that, because goods in Quebec, we make certain things, but anything that's not made in Quebec comes from somewhere else. It comes from the other provinces, and you know how they have to get it here. They have to ship it in by truck, right? What goes in the truck? Fossil fuels, carbons, right? And you know, the carbon tax has to get passed on to somebody. So who does it get passed on to? It's passed on to you. It's passed on to you. We need to make our country stronger by using our natural resources. You know, we have several types of natural resources, and I want to do this quickly. We have fossil fuels, light natural gas that's sitting there, but we're not allowed to touch it. You know why? Because there are people in this government who would prefer that we suffer with the high prices as opposed to using our natural resources. But once this government is removed and the Conservatives under Pierre Poilievre are going to be put in, we're going to make sure to use our natural resources, respecting the environment. We must respect the environment, and then what's going to happen is the price of fossil fuels will come down and it'll get passed down. We will respect the environment, respect the future of our children's environment, and your prices will start to come down. But what about something else that you didn't talk about, which is another natural resource? Each and every one of you is a natural resource. Each and every one of you is a natural resource. You go to school, you work hard, don't we want our children to do better than us?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So first you have to have children. That's important, right? Okay. So, well, that's true, because not everybody, look, I have a son, I'm married, and I respect my family. You know the most important thing in life is God and your family. Because without those two, it becomes very complicated. So what about the young people? Those are natural resources right there. If we don't give them a great future, guess what? Where do they go? I have heard from some people in your community that their life was somewhat better in certain respects in the Philippines on certain things. They say, well, life was better. This is not what Canada's supposed to be. Canada's a beacon. It was a beacon for people to come here and to have better lives. So we're going to make sure that the economy is better. But what about your paychecks? You know, your paychecks, I don't know if it's from employer 1 or employer 3 or employer 2, because it's really, with all due respect, talking to you like normal, it's sad. Why should you have to work 2-3 jobs? Here's the story. We're going to reduce your taxes. And by reducing your taxes, guess what? You're going to have more money in your pocket. Maybe then you can create a nest egg and you can build a home or buy a home. We're going to make sure that you can buy homes. There's 10,000 possible homes on, you know where the Jockeys is, where corner de Carry? You know whose homes those are? They're your homes. How come they haven't been built? How come that piece of land is remaining vacant for over a decade? So you've been paying rent, which is great for the landlord, but not great for you. We need to make sure you have homes so that you can feel that you have a future here. And then when you look to your children, you have something to pass on to them. But that's not happening now. We are going to cut the red tape. We're going to cut goods and services tax, GST, from home buying for first-time home buyers on new construction. We're going to make sure Canadians have a place to live. So before we send $84 million to somebody who's going to do bad things to Christians, we're going to put that money in the pockets of people and make sure everybody has a better life. So it's going to be tough. It's not like when we get elected, it's not like a magic wand and everything gets perfect. It's going to take time. And you know why it's going to take time? Because it took a lot of time to wreck things, and it's going to take some time to fix things. Okay? It does. It's true. But if I look at you today and I say, are you happy? If everybody's happy, I'm leaving now. And then Okay. So,
in fact, we have a lot of questions.
Okay, so shoot the next
Shoot.
question.
Hello, shooting.
Questions.
So next one, our
I have one question.
Korea. Okay. I'm first, okay? Yeah. So my question, Neil, is
Yeah.
what will your party gonna do about the retirees? You know?
Yeah, great
Some
question.
people cannot even reach retiree age because they work up so hard and they're dead before that. So
So let me tell you two things we
first,
came out with.
first the age and the amount.
Okay,
that
so
you receive.
you
So
know,
please put
right
that
now,
on the list.
first of all, I know that retirement's not 55. Okay, retirement keeps going pushed up. So one of the things that we've done as a party is we said, listen, people are working later. So you know, people sometimes convert their RRSPs, which is their registered retirement savings plans, earlier. So now we want to move it from 71 to 73. Okay, so it gives you more time to save. But the truth is, I don't know, I'm not going to ask financial questions here, but how many people are putting money in their RRSPs here?
Not many, because you know,
Because
we
there's not
have
enough money to
nothing.
put food on the table and put my right. So I think the question. That's right. It's very bad. It's very
So
bad.
say when you're dead, what will you do with the grass?
So
when
here's-
the horse is dead.
That's why we have to look at the problem. I'm an attorney by trade. I don't know if you know that.
We know, we
Yeah,
search.
I'm a lawyer. And what do I do when I have a problem? First, I analyze what was done, and then I say we're not going to do what they did. Okay, so the answer to your question is your RRSP is not helpful to you. What's helpful to you now is reduce the taxation, keep more money. Then you build wealth. Then you can start putting money aside for your RRSP. But you know, we also have to maintain social programs and make sure everybody is well taken care of. Does everybody have a doctor here?
No.
Okay, so we have something called, this is something you haven't asked me, but you'll ask me your second question. We have the blue policy, the blue seal, okay, where if you come from the Philippines and you're a nurse, nursing assistant, dental assistant, doctor's assistant, we want to get you to come here and use your skill set so that in the first 60 days, what we try to do is get you accredited. We're going to work with the local provincial accreditation bodies so that people from your community can use your skill sets. Because, I mean, this is very important in my view.
There's a lot of
So, what, is the human body different in the Philippines than it is in Canada?
It's not.
No, it's not. But bureaucracy is very bad here. And that's an effect. We're going to cut the red tape and we're going to bring Blue Seal here, blue possibilities where you can come and be your professional. Next question.
Next question.
What
Always
else?
hard questions. I'm starting to
Exactly. Yeah, behind me.
Hindi kasi actually I have the same question with Patan.
I think you didn't touch about the amount, because you know people who work like 30, 40 years and they would receive less than 1,000 for a month for federal level and Quebec. Would that be enough?
No, that
it's
won't
not
be
even enough for groceries. So what would you
So
do
we
with that?
need to make sure that we give every Canadian the possibility of saving more, spending less, and ensuring that they could build a nest egg, right? Because you can't rely on government for everything, you know? Because you can't. You got to first rely on yourself. You know, I always say this: charity starts at home, right? You first have to be charitable to yourself to be charitable to others. But you know, we have a lot of fiscal policies in place to reduce the burden on good Canadians for taxation. What I want to express to your community is your community has the greatest power because it organizes very well. And this is a very important thing. I don't see this in all the communities. So on the issue of tax reduction, you'll see the benefit right away, because when you have those 3 jobs, it's because when you accumulate 3 jobs and it's only worth the price of 1 job, if we get you 1 good paying job, then you have much more time to do other things, much more time to spend with your family. And by the way, the value of $1 that you can't spend has no value. If you're working all the time and you're tired all the time, you're not with your family, you're not at church, you're not with your friends. This is not Canada. And this is not why you came here. It's not why my grandparents came here. And it's not for the young people. With all due respect, I always talk to the young people because they are our future. And if they look at mom and dad, you know, dad's working night and mom's working day, and then kids work maybe a part-time job. Is this what we want for our families? I didn't create the problem. You didn't create the problem. And I know you're all beholden. I came here because they brought me here. No, you brought yourselves here. Nobody gave you a gift. If you didn't qualify to come here, you wouldn't be here.
Correct.
And yes, correct. Don't be looking to somebody who says, oh, I brought you here. No, the rule of law applies to all of us. But some people like to take the credit for everything, but they don't like to take the responsibility for what's going on now. And that is the problem in your community, because you think they brought you here. You brought yourselves here. Your hard work brought you here. They didn't bring you here. The law applies to you like it applies to me. Whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're educated, whether you're not, guess what? You get one vote. We're all equal. So don't fall under the auspice that you somehow owe something to somebody. You know who you owe something to? You owe something to them over there, to the young people. Those are the people you owe something. Stop worrying about the politicians. The politicians, 2025 year of the people. Not year of the politicians. That's enough. How much does it cost to fly back to the Philippines? How about the carbon tax? You know, you get on a plane, it's $2,800. It used to be $1,800 or $1,500. Yeah, why? Why? Is it that the planes get more expensive? Everything's more expensive, but the fuel in the plane is called the carbon tax, and the liberals brought it. And that's why food's expensive, because the guy who has the truck has got to put the gas in it, and he says, oh my gosh, I got to pass the buck. So you know you're suffering not because of you, but because of them, and you have a choice now. 4 years we can have a whole new world. And how about this? What about you and the community center? How come you guys don't have a community center? The backyard's great. I love it. Okay. But where's the community center? After all your contributions, what do you have? Well, you take what you're entitled to, or do you leave it on the table? So that's my statement. Questions?
And sir, there's a follow-up question regarding about the retirement age.
Yeah.
Because my co-workers is going to 65, and there's rumors that they're gonna extend the retirement age up to 67 years old.
We're not gonna listen.
Whose party?
Let's be very clear.
So what's your party's stand?
Our part is people shouldn't have to work longer and make less, okay? That's it. People should be able to work until they can, but if people were earning more money faster, they can maybe retire earlier. And that's the problem now. The average person doesn't retire at 55 or 65. I know people who are working into their 70s. So we don't want Canadians working their whole lives to work, and then the minute they can retire, all of a sudden they get sick and they can't. You should be asking yourself, why don't you have a doctor? How come how long do you have to wait to get a CT scan or an MRI?
We don't have a doctor.
No, but you know why? Because the doctors don't stay here because they can't make any money. So when we want to go to your community and say there's doctors from the Philippines or doctors from other countries, but they come here and then they can't do anything. They're, I don't know, driving a taxi or working in a grocery store, which is an honorable profession. But that's so that you see, you're being fed. We want to make Canadians work longer so that we can do something bad. Would I make my father work longer? Would I make my mother work longer? Do I want to work longer? No, I want to work smarter. There's the solution. Work smarter, because you can make more if we reduce your taxes, and retire when you're ready to retire. Politicians are great at two things. One, telling you whatever you want to hear, and then two, not doing what they tell you that you want to hear. But it's true.
They promise too much.
I don't promise anything. Here's what I promise. Hard work.
Yeah.
I'll be direct with you. When you call me, text me, DM me, or send me a pigeon carrier, I'm going to respond. Because my job is to work for you. You don't work for me. And by the way, if you don't agree with me, I don't get angry and block you on social media. Okay? Yeah. That's right. Exactly. I don't block people on social media. And I don't say, oh no, don't do that. This is Canada, man. This isn't some other country. You come and you have a right to say what you like, as long as you're respectful and not, nasty in a way that's not consistent with civility. So, see, we learned something. When you hear what I have to say is what my party says. It's what Pierre Poilievre says. We want you to work smarter. We want you to be happier. We want you to pay less taxes. But we want you to be safe and secure. I don't know about you, but I don't feel so safe and so secure sometimes.
Okay. Then we have a question concerning immigration, because we as a church our people who are coming from the Philippines as contract workers, they cannot apply here as a permanent immigrant. They have to leave the province. So is there something you could do about immigration to make their lives easier?
This is now you should be asking yourself, stepping back, and I'm going to answer this by stepping back from the problem. Look around your society now. Look at the kind of people that have come here in the last 9.5, 10 years. And make your own assessment. I'm going to answer your question. Do you want to bring people here who are doing good things, working hard, having children, being good citizens? Or do you want to bring people here who block buildings, hate on people, don't do what they're supposed to do? Immigrants are not the problem. It's bad immigration is the problem. So exactly, correct. It's not, we're not bad people, but there are bad people. So the answer is we've made it a policy to reform immigration, where immigration reflects what Canadian society needs. First rule, we're going to reduce immigration, not because we want to, because we have to have a couple things in place here. If we bring people here, they have to live somewhere, right? And they have to feed their families, and they have to be able to get medicine, medical doctors, and they have to be able to get jobs. So when we can't even do that, how are we going to bring more people here? If you think for a moment that these good people are the problem, no. The problem is bad policy. So when people come to this country and they can't pass a French exam and they can't get a job because they can't find a good paying job, that's the problem. So our policy is very simple. We're going to reform immigration, but we're going to make sure to consult with people who have gone through the process. Has anybody consulted you lately? Has anybody said, how was your immigration process? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it ugly? Never. They don't go to the people. They go back to the politicians. So we need you. You're the power. That's what I keep saying to you. We need to consult with you, but we need to fix the problem. We need to stabilize first our housing market, our job market, our economy. And then when we have people coming here, we have the right people coming, not because they're immigrants, is because are they the right immigrants to come here? You should be able to be with your family. You should be able to bring your family here. You've demonstrated that you're hardworking, you pay your taxes, you help Canadians. But we cannot allow this immigration system to exist as is. That's not my words. That's the words of Pierre Poilievre and our party. We're going to fix it. We're going to make it fairer. And we're going to make it in a way that you don't feel that you're not getting your fair share. Because it's really, you're not getting your fair share. You know, you're 10% of Mount Royal. You represent 10% of the riding. That's a lot of folks. And you know, more people should look to you for guidance. So we're going to fix the problem. But right now, we got to fix many other problems that will help fix that problem. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have a quick question. Is there any game plan from your party regarding the trade war going on right now, like the tariffs and stuff like that?
That's a great question. So, how are we going to deal with the U.S.? First of all, the U.S. they're not our enemy, right? We live next to them. Most of the Canadians live within a very close distance of the border. We have a historic, traditional relationship with them. I want to remind everybody that Mr. Trump just came into power in January, but everybody seems to have liberal amnesia. For the last 9.5 years, what has happened for the last 9.5 years, all of a sudden, Mr. Trump comes into power for a second term, and all of a sudden, oh my God, he's the problem. He might be a problem, but what about the last 9.5 years? What about that problem? So let me first go back and say that trade imbalances create a sort of tension between countries. If we're partners and you get more out of the relationship than I get out of the relationship, it's going to eventually come to a head. And maybe they changed the new president in the country, but it didn't change the problem. How are we going to address it? We're going to build our natural resources and use them to make us strong. And see, it goes back to the food issue. It goes back to the immigration issue. It goes back to the employment issue. You use your natural resources so that now we have the strongest tool available. Independence, gas, light natural gas. The world works with that. So how do we get out of this problem? First, we secure our own borders. We make sure that our Canadian citizens are safe. Second, we use our natural resources the way God meant that we should use them, reasonably, respectfully of the environment. Third, we bring adults to Ottawa who will negotiate. You don't rattle your saber. You don't say, I'm going to fight you. Tariff for tariff. I'm not an economist, man. I'm a lawyer and I'm a father. But here's what I know. When I go shopping, and what I used to buy was $9 and now it's $14, it's not good for me. And we're going to have to negotiate, because you can't just sit there and allow another country to take from us what we're entitled to. But you must understand that this problem was not created on January 20th, 2025. It's been growing over a period of time. But when you have amnesia and you forget about everything that happened, you look for the easiest solution. But that is not an easy solution. There will be a strong government in Ottawa after April 28th, and we will correct that imbalance, we will correct that problem, and things will definitely get better. Yes. Sure.
As a conservative, what is your agenda in regards with gender and abortion?
Okay, it's a great question. Here is the myth of liberalism. They say every conservative, is a one way versus another way. A woman's body is a woman's body. The law in Canada is that it is not unlawful to do abortion. Our policy is we're not touching the law. That's our policy. This is what Pierre has said. Now, Pierre has said it. He only knows about two genders, man and woman. Okay, I don't know if there's another one, and it's not. My personal opinion is not relevant. It's up to the party has said. That Pierre has said there's a man and a woman, and he's not aware of any other gender. Okay, that's it. If you can find another gender, please let me know. But yes, a young lady.
I had a question because I'm graduating this year in Sec 5.
Wow.
And I was wondering what you guys have in plan for the colleges, because you guys removed the bourse and prêt. So is that gonna change, or?
Yeah, so the issue of bursaries and loans is provincially run. The federal government participates in that. And actually, let me tell you that today our leader Pierre Poilievre was asked a question about how are we going to fund universities. We're not going to fund any universities or any schools that don't ensure that their students are safe and secure. Because let me tell you something. When you go to CEGEP, there's a lot of people there that are causing a lot of problems. Have you been following what's been going on? Yeah, well, we've said it, and I said it, and they quoted me at the press conference, because I said, we're not going to give $1 to any university or any institution that doesn't protect its minorities. So we don't want to take money from you, but we have to make sure that when you do go to school, you're safe and secure. We will do what it takes to make sure our youth are successful for the future. But your success doesn't come from me, young lady. It comes from your community. It comes from you. Your power, don't ever think for a moment that you don't count. You count because you stand up and you're heard. And when you're heard, you're powerful. I come from a community that has been marginalized many, many moons. Okay, yeah, I know now they say, oh, you folks run all the business and I don't control the weather, okay? Because if it did, it would have been very hot today. And the reality is you have the most power here. You know why? Because you're young. And that youth will give you the opportunity to do great things. But we have to make sure you're safe and you're secure and you can get a job and you can make money and pay less taxes. I support you, but the question is, will the Liberals support you? And if they did, you wouldn't be asking me that question, because for 9.5 years, they've had plenty of time to fix the problems, but all they do is make more problems. But I want to be positive today. But your question is great, and yes, we will support young people at all corners.
Thank you for answering questions. Okay. So I also have a question regarding charity status. So we read some recommendations from the existing government, like actually we have 330 or what
You have a charitable not-for-profit corporation.
Not-for-profit.
Yeah,
and,
I'm a lawyer that has, in our law firm, we do tons of that type of work, so I'm fully aware of what the problem is in charitable and non-charitable status.
So they are recommending that that charitable status, especially if the main purpose is to advance religion, will be stassed off from being a charitable organization. So being a church, we cannot do anything. That's the main purpose. That's why we exist, is to advance religion.
Well, it seems a little strange to me that if you're a church, you wouldn't be advancing religion.
Yeah, that's the recommendation.
It's a little strange, but the problem now with charitable foundations, charitable status in Canada, is that it's been improperly used by some groups
Yeah.
to generate funds for illegal activities of hate. Okay, so you got to understand it from the perspective. From our perspective, is you can't use a charity to take money to do bad things to Canadians, and religion is you're protected under the charter. Your religion is your religion, how you exercise it, but there's always limitations with respect to how that can be done. The Conservatives are very clear. They respect you. You be you, we'll be us, and government should have less involvement in your daily life and be there to protect you at the areas that you want. Now, with respect to all the actual issues in charitable statuses, again, I'm a lawyer. I'm not the Minister of the Economy, but I can tell you from my experiences that if the charities don't get properly surveyed and don't get used properly, people like you will suffer. And that's been the government, the Liberal government's had 9.5 years to clean up. There's a charity called Samidun. I don't know if you ever heard of this charity. This charity, a foundation, basically generated money to give to terrorists in the Middle East. They ran around for many years and got away with it. So what happens is when you don't have proper regulatory controls and you have irresponsible government, then the good people suffer. We're going to make sure you don't suffer. We're going to make sure you're prosperous and safe and secure. I would have brushed my hair if I knew it was coming up. Oh, I don't have any. It's okay. I'm working on it. That's one thing I cannot guarantee myself, that I'll have more hair. I can't keep that promise. I keep it short for a reason. If you can't, listen, you know what the great thing about what I'm doing? I'm not doing it for me. I have a great job and I have a family. I could have stayed home. I know, you understand? I could stay home in my law office, but I really do care that we... And my wife's upset with me. You know why? Because I don't spend any time at home. But imagine if we all said we're all just going to stay home. You know, the biggest killer today for Canadians is indifference. I don't care. It's not me. It's like you walk over somebody, whatever. We have to change that. We have to come to a place where it's not about right or left. It's about, is it right or is it wrong? And I'm in a place now where I really believe that this election is about being right and being wrong. And if we just try something different, when you have that power, we will get a different outcome. But I'll tell you, I'm one person, but together we're very strong. Whether you believe in everything that I believe in, that's not important. But we believe in core values. And that's why I'm running, because I know we can do better. I know you want to do better, but we can't do better by doing the same thing over and over again.
My fear is, would my child that is 10 years old will be able to afford his own house one day?
Yeah, no, not the way things are going. And we talked about that. And it goes to the issue of inflation, but it goes to the issue also of supply and demand. Supply and demand is the concept where when you have low supply and high demand, it brings the price up. We live on an island. We have a massive country, but everybody wants to live in the same area, right? And that's why I said at the Jockeys near Décarie and Jean Talon, we can build 10,000 homes. I met with the developer. I wanted to understand, why aren't we building 10,000 homes for people? You know why? Bureaucracy. Because the city of Montreal wants one thing. The city of X wants another thing. How does that help you? It doesn't make it easier for people to be able to look at their children and say, one day you will do better than me. Because everybody wants their children to do better, right? So we need to break down that red tape. We need to cut with the bureaucracy and the gatekeepers, get 10,000 homes built, because guess who's going to be living in them? You. My undertaking is to work to make sure that that project takes off with the help of the federal government, with the help of the provincial government. Because you know what leaders do? They bring people together to talk. If you don't talk to people, you can't negotiate, you can't exchange on ideas. We need to build more homes. Why? Because if you're safe and secure and you feel you have a future here, you'll be more productive, your kids will be happier, you won't have to work 3 jobs, and at the end of the day, you're passing on to something you didn't have. All your hard work has to pay off. I'm sure you wake up and go, I'm doing this for my kids. And if we can't say that, Why would you get up and work the 3 jobs if it's not going to have any benefit? It is your time now. It is your power. It's only you who will bring change. But don't complain if you vote for the same people and you get the same thing and then say, oh my God, it's still not so good. That's why I'm saying try something different. That's the message. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
That's a great invitation.
To communicate with each other.
With regards to Pierre Follet,
Oh, yes. Today he was speaking about me at a press conference.
Let's just go this one handle here. Ate Sas.
Yeah, I want to make sure whatever message I tell you, trust me, I tell everybody the same thing.